Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Hester with Social Adventures, the founder of the Six-Pack of Peaks Challenge. And today we're going to introduce and give you an overview of something that's brand new for 2023, and that's the Appalachian Six-Pack of Peaks Challenge, curated by Benny Braden. And Benny is going to join us and talk a little bit more about some of the peaks that are in there. And I'm going to start with some slide sharing, and then we're going to go into the website and just kind of poke around at what the peaks are, where they are, and talk through some of the nice things to know about each of those, and talk a little bit about how you could kind of mix and match any of those 12 peaks in the challenge. This is kind of unique that we have 12 for this one. So all right, let's get rolling. I'll share this. All right, so I want to introduce my co-host, Benny Braden. He's a well-known backpacker and public lands advocate who lives in Eastern Tennessee. He is founder and CEO of Responsible Stewardship, which is an all-volunteer, action-based nonprofit org that's really dedicated to restoring public lands and outdoor spaces and communities that have been affected by litter and illegal dumping and the stuff that people leave behind, and also helping educate by example, so that people understand that, it's everybody's job to keep our wilderness spaces clean and litter free. One of the things that's kind of interesting about Benny, he's done a lot of hiking over his years. I first learned of him watching the film Highline, which chronicles Benny and a group of other guys who thru-hiked the Highline Trail in the Uinta Mountains of Utah. But he's also known for the fastest known time for the Smokies 900 milers. That's hiking all 900 miles of trails in the Smoky Mountain National Park. So that's pretty freaking amazing, I think. And it just kind of lends credibility to like what he's doing and his expertise in the region. I'm going to just kind of kick things off with a little bit of background on how the Six-Pack of Peaks got started. It goes back to 13 years ago, when my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, we were training for the John Muir Trail. That's a 211-mile trail in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. And the Six-Pack of Peaks we created to basically give us some long, strenuous hikes that would help us prepare physically and mentally for the day in, day out grind on the John Muir Trail. We did it over 22 days, and every day we're going, climbing, up over a pass and back down, and doing double-digit mileage. So it was a pretty tall order, and the Six-Pack of Peaks was sort of a big part of what we used to help prepare for that. And these photos here are on the right are a couple of the group hikes that we did on the original Six-Pack of Peaks. And then that's my girlfriend, now my wife, and I on the top of Mount Whitney in 2020. 5 years later, we actually turned what had become just an informal collection of peaks into an official challenge in Southern California. And this was the first place that we did a Six-Pack of Peaks challenge. And this is some of the first 84 finishers from that first year in 2015. Today, it's expanded quite a bit. We have 17 challenges in different regions around the country, including the Appalachian Challenge. We have over 16,000 challengers, and as you can kind of see in the background from the photos that come in from our hike logs, we have just limitless adventures. And that's part of one of my favorite things is to kind of go through and read the adventures that our challengers have all around the country, and share in that experience and be inspired by that. And these are just a few examples. These are pulled off of Instagram, but it just shows sort of people of all ages and all experience levels getting out there, young kids, like Koa or the super hiking twins. We have on the one on the right, these two ladies here are part of a group called, they call themselves the Bats, the Badass Trail Sisters, and two of them are over 70. And they completed the Central Oregon Six-Pack of Peaks, which includes a really tough climb up South Sister, one of the Cascade volcanic peaks there. One of the things that I think we're really proud about is our partnership with outdoor nonprofits, such as Responsible Stewardship, which we'll hear more about. Over the past, since our founding in 2015, we've raised over $126,000 for outdoor-related nonprofits, including Big City Mountaineers, the Heroes Project, Leave No Trace. And I'm really stoked to announce that this year we'll also be working with Benny's organization. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. So that's a little bit about where we've been and where we are today. One of the things that we do when people register for the challenge, we have swag, and everybody loves swag. We have a welcome packet that everybody who registers gets mailed that includes a little carabiner and a hiker tag with your challenger number on it. So you can put that on the back of your pack. It helps you identify other people that are maybe doing the challenge when you're out on the trail. And on the flip side of that card, it doesn't show in this picture, but there's a quick reference to the top peaks in the challenge and a QR code that gives you all of the detailed information. And there's stickers and things like that. The finishers get a certificate of achievement, and this year they're getting one of these enamel pins like you see in the photo. And I've got one here just to give you an idea of the size. That's a 2-inch by 2-inch card. These you can pin on a hat, you can pin it on your backpack, you can stick it on a bulletin board. And the thing that I like about this versus an embroidered patch, which is what we used to do, is that you can easily move it. So when I get a new pack for Christmas or whatever, I can just transfer this pin super easily, and it looks good, and takes away the problem, the fact that I can't sew a patch. All right, so we're gonna take a look at the peaks and the mountains in the Appalachian Challenge. Stop that. Hey, Benny, there you are. I see that you're connected. Can you, let's see, what I'll do is I'll share my browser screen so that we can just kind of walk through the website. All right, so let me get a thumbs up, or just maybe in the chat, let me know if you can see that. I can get to the chat. Okay, yes, awesome. All right. So let's see. And this is the overview page for the Appalachian Challenge. I wanted to just point out this map area. This kind of shows you where all of them are. We can click on this little icon here on the left to expand that to a full screen view. I don't know if that works when I do that on Zoom sharing. Hopefully.
Yeah, it looks good to me.
Looks good. All right. So we can double click and zoom in, and you can see there's 3 in this area, and we can keep on zooming in. It'll show those up. We can also change the overview map. So we could look at the terrain or whatever, and we can kind of zoom in. And as you hover over, it shows you which peaks those are. And it's just a nice way to kind of get an idea of where things are in this particular challenge. And we tried to spread it out over a broad area just to kind of give people some choices. And that's one of the reasons why this challenge is a little bit unique, to have 12 peaks in a 6-peak challenge. What that means is that you can choose which of the 6 of the 12 peaks that you want to do to finish the challenge. Obviously, there's going to be a few people, I don't know, maybe Benny or somebody, I don't know, who will want to go out and try to do all 12 in a year. That's really challenging, but you could certainly do it. Obviously, that's going to mean some travel to make that happen, because we've got peaks up in Virginia and Kentucky and Tennessee and North Carolina and Georgia. So there's pretty good spread. So one of the things that you can do is take a look at this map and kind of determine which are the ones that you want to include in your 6 peaks. Could be the closest ones that are more convenient, could be peaks that you haven't done yet that you'd like to do. Maybe you're collecting high points, state high points. We have a couple of those in here. Or maybe you're just like, interested in going back to a place that you really love. Those are all options. You can kind of mix and match to get to the peaks that you want. All right, so let's take a look at some of the peaks that are in here. And Benny, how you doing today? Can't hear you, Benny, for some reason. I see you, but I see you online, but I don't hear you. Yeah, Emma, can you see if you can, message Benny and find out, what we can do to help? Let's see if we can get this audio thing working.
I'm working on it.
Okay, so while Emma works with Benny on that, I'm going to continue on. These are the peaks that are listed on the map. Again, as we hover over that, we can see Smith Mountain and so on, and I can click on that to see, High Rock Loop, Mount Rogers, Mount Mitchell, and so on. You'll see them listed down here, and we've given a couple of things. We'll give you sort of like a little snippet, a synopsis of what's interesting about that particular peak, as well as a suggested route and the distance and the total vertical gain for that suggested route. So Mount Rogers, you get to hike along a segment of the AT, takes you to the high point for the state of Virginia. And you have an opportunity to see potentially wild ponies near the summit of the mountain. This links to a detailed trail guide, in this case on all trails. So we can go in and, kind of see, oh, this is where the markers are. This is kind of what the route looks like, where the trailhead is. I can find out some more information about like the weather forecast there, some other things like, oh, somebody who hiked it on January 3rd says the trail is in great condition. So you have access to that. If you have an All Trails Plus subscription, you can download the map and the track to your phone, which I highly recommend, so that even if you're outside of cell service, you'll be able to track your position on that route. Smith Mountain.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
I think what we might do is I can call Benny and then put him on speakerphone, and we can see if that comes through.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll try that. Just a minute.
There's also a phone number that he can call to join the meeting, if that is helpful. Usually this works without a hitch, but of course, Murphy likes to play a visit once in a while. Smith Mountain. This one's about our suggested route up the Smith Mountain Trail is 7.3 miles. And all of these mileage, all the distances here are total mileage. So like Mount Rogers, that's an out and back route. Most of these will probably be out and back routes. And so that's giving you the total distance and the total vertical gain. So if it's a roller coasters type trail where you're going up and down, you're going to gain some vertical that even though like this one here, your total vertical gain is almost 1,600 feet, even though the high point of the mountain is only 1,900. So there's probably a little bit of up and down. You take a look at that.
All right, I have Benny on speakerphone, so we'll see if that works, and then we can try the phone option for him to connect to the phone if this doesn't work. But Benny, you can go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Hey, Benny, how you doing?
Apparently, I've got technical difficulties.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I can't see this. I mean, I see, it says I'm seeing your screen, but I see black. But at least I can chime in here in the chat, so that's cool.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we can hear you well enough. So what I'm going to do is we'll just talk about like some of these peaks that are in here. And if
Yeah.
you have something, I'll ask you if you have something that you want to share about that particular peak.
Okay.
All right. So we've talked about Mount Rogers, which is the high point of Virginia. And we just mentioned Smith Mountain. And now we're looking at High Rock Loop. And we click on that one. That's 6.7 miles. It's in Kentucky. So it's kind of outside of, it's a little bit outside of the area of most of these hikes, but we wanted to try to get that sort of geographic dispersion. So this one is a 6.7 mile lollipop loop. So it's got like the stick of the lollipop and then, this little loop that you can do to get to High Rock. And that's kind of a nice way to be able to see some different vantage points.
Yeah.
And as you can see from the elevation profile, yeah, there's definitely some roller coaster type activity here. You kind of go up and down and up and down and up and down a couple times on this particular route.
Nice. Very good.
Britta's asking about is it be possible to mention the average time for these? So again, on here, it'll say that it takes an average of 3 hours and 45 minutes to complete. I always try to take that with a grain of salt. I'll generally know what my hiking pace is given the certain terrain. Usually I'm trying to if I do about 2 miles an hour, I feel pretty good. For things that I'm on a new trail or something like that. And sometimes even a little slower, depending on how steep or if it's, a lot of very scrambly.
Yeah. Yeah. And, everybody's hiking pace is just a little bit different. Even my own hiking paces can vary. There's times that I'm in a good mood, kind of feeling the trail and, set a good solid pace. And then there's times that I just want to stroll,
Exactly. Yeah. We talked about the John Muir Trail early on, and John Muir himself was not a fan of the term hiking. He would prefer that we would all go out and go for a saunter in the forest.
Yeah.
And I like that attitude. It's a much more, present sort of word, like being able to experience everything fully. Let's see, Black Balsam Knob. That one's in North Carolina. It's been sort of notable as a great place to catch the sunrise. This is a short one, a short, easy hike. It's a nice one to maybe just warm up your legs. So if you're just starting out and getting back into hiking after a long winter off, or maybe you've been hiding under a rock or something like that, this might be a good one to kind of stretch your legs and kind of get back into it.
Such a beautiful spot anyways. One of my favorite sunrises I ever seen was from that location. It had a beautiful cloud inversion, sun rising above it. It was really nice. And another nice, interesting thing about Black Balsam Knob is that the Art Loeb Trail goes over Black Balsam. So you can start over at the Boy Scout camp, and it's up at a 31-mile hike, and you can end over to Fish Hatchery. So it's a tough hike if you're doing the whole Art Loeb Trail. You're through hiking it, but kind of goes to the Shining Rock Wilderness, very beautiful area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. I think definitely a must if anyone's in that area for sure.
And if I could add something too, I hiked this a couple weeks ago, and it was beautiful. And I noticed while driving up to it, there were a few entrances along the parkway there for the Art Loeb Trail, so you don't have to do all 30 miles, but you could add maybe like 5 or 6 miles to your trail and do the Black Balsam knob and also a little extra challenge. So
Yeah, and if someone's planning on doing that this time of year, or anytime, the Park Service will close the Blue Ridge Parkway if the weather gets rough. So just kind of watch for those road closures and kind of prepare for that, and you should be good.
All right. So Mount LeConte, we describe it here as it's all about the journey. So, following the Alum Cave Terret Trail, hiking along the creek, passing Arch Rock, ascending the mountain. It sounds like just an awesome experience, but it also a lot of vertical gain, 3,000 vertical feet.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Probably going up Alum Cave. That's probably my favorite trail in the Smokies. I do like to say that's my favorite trail at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday, just because it gets extremely busy on the weekends. In fact, it'll be busier than downtown Gatlinburg.
Wow.
And parking will be a challenge. And now that the park has implemented a new parking policy, not allowing people to park on the side of the roads, plan ahead. You want to get there well before daylight. And so when you get there parking, make sure you have your parking pass. It's $5 a day or $40 annually. That doesn't affect starting March 1. But Alum Cave is absolutely stunning. Like you say, about a mile and a half, you'll actually go through Arch Rock. It's actually a hole that's in the rock in a beautiful stone staircase that goes up through the tunnel. And about another mile and a half, couple miles, you end up at Alum Cave, a big old cliff face where a lot of people turn around there. Most tourists will go there and have a little snack and turn around and come back down. But the adventurous ones can go on to the top, and that's your halfway point. Your unofficial halfway point is there at Alum Cave. And then you progress all the way up to the top. Now, as you're hiking up, your actual elevation gain, as far as the trail itself, obviously you gain some elevation once you hit the Boulevard Trail up there. But it's roughly about 2,500 feet. If you're going to the high point on LeConte, it'll be up there pretty close to 3,000 feet. But a beautiful place to go catch the sunrise or a sunset. If you plan on doing a sunrise, go to Myrtle Point. It's a beautiful spot to catch a sunrise. And if you want to stick around all day and just kind of see what all's up there, you have the lodge. Sometimes the lodge will be open depending on what time of year you're there. You can grab you a snack. They can make lunches and you can purchase those. They do have a foot toilet up there that you can use, and also the shelter is up there. The LeConte shelter, it has a pit toilet. If you're planning on staying at the shelter, make sure you get your permit for that. You can only get it 30 days out, and it is very, very popular. So, at midnight on the 30 days out, you need to be ready to click that mouse to be able to get it. And stick around most of the day and go to cliff tops and catch a sunset, the most epic sunset in the Smokies, hands down. Summertime, it can get very busy. A lot of lodge guests will get there, and a lot of day hikers will come up and check out the sunset. And it'll be epic, but it will be very crowded. You'll almost think you're at some kind of concert. It can get that crowded, but bring your headlamp so that you can hike down in the dark and get back to your vehicle. But definitely, to me, out of all of our hikes on this list, that's the grandfather. That's the
All right.
that's the crown jewel of them all. Absolutely my favorite place. Whenever I did my 900 milers, I started them with a hike, with the sunrise hike to LeConte, and I finished them with a sunset hike to LeConte. That's how special that place is.
Wow, I'm intrigued. I want to go check it out.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful, well manicured trail, very popular trail, so it stays well maintained. Like you'll see a lot of folks, even at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday, don't be surprised you see people on trail. I thought that I'd have it all to myself and be good, but end up bringing in the people, which I wasn't too bad. There's only a couple of people versus like 300 people.
Now I know that some of the people are looking at dog friendly hikes, and this hike is, dogs are not allowed on the trail. Is that true of all the trails in Great Smoky Mountains National Park?
That is true with all the trails in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park except for two. The Okanalakti Trail at the Okanalakti Visitor Center, you can have dogs on that trail. And at the Gatlinburg Trail over at the Sugarlands Visitor Center, you can have dogs on that. Outside that, dogs are not allowed on any other trail inside the park.
I think this actually kind of triggers an idea. I think what we ought to do on this page, the overview page, is maybe designate which of the ones allow dogs on leash or not. It would be a handy reference for people who are looking to do that.
Yeah, most definitely, especially, information like, the trails dogs can be on the two trails. And just a reminder for everything else that parking passes are required. Parking longer than 15 minutes inside the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And we've been told that they do intend to issue fines.
Hey, a question on that, Benny. I have have the annual National Parks Pass. Is that accepted as a parking pass, or is this an extra parking pass?
This is, since the Great Smoky Mountain is considered a free national park, along with I think there's about 9 to 15 other parks that are free, maybe even more than that now. But with the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, the street entrance, you can drive through the park, anytime, as long as the roads are open, and you're there to enjoy it. But the park was struggling because they see 14 million visitors a year, and unfortunately, many of these visitors don't treat our parks very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, in 2021, Save Our Smokies, the nonprofit I'm a vice president of, we removed 10,000 pounds of litter during that year. And last year, we removed 4,600 pounds in 3 hours on Earth Day. And, we've been also removing graffiti inside the park. Sadly, many of the overlooks we can spend hours, expense of removing the graffiti, and within 30 days it's back, it's even worse. So it's a park that's almost treated like a national monument, meaning that you don't see the presence of many employees, you don't see rangers too often. They are out, they are trying to do their patrols, but unfortunately, when you're limited staff and a limited budget, there's only, you're kind of spread thin. And especially a park the size of Great Smoky Mountain National Park that spans 2 different states. So it's just one of the things that, we can encourage folks when they visit that park, especially. Make sure they pack out their trash and put it in proper trash cans and disposal bins and stuff like that. And this way that stuff doesn't end up, because we're seeing evidence of wildlife, bears, raccoons, instead of, unfortunately getting a hold of this trash.
Right.
So
Let's
yeah.
that's good to know. We should all be carrying something to help us not only pack out our own trash, which is sort of common sense, you would think, but also to be able to pick up trash that we see that somebody else might have left. And that's one of the things that I like to do, because I am a dog owner. I tend to have a roll of those little dog poop bags with me, and they make perfect gloves for picking up something that I don't really want to touch, like dog poop and other trash that's on the trail. So I always will have those. And we'll talk probably a little bit more about some opportunities for people to get involved with responsible stewardship towards the end. The next peak up on the list here is Mount Sterling, which has a historic fire tower and climbs over 4,000 vertical feet. That is definitely a thigh burner right there.
Yeah, that's a great trail. Taken Baxter Creek Trail up to it. That comes up from the Big Creek parking lot area, ranger station kind of area. That's a great trail. Also part of the Benton McCod Trail. Northern terminus ends at Big Creek there inside the Smokies. And if you follow that trail 290 something miles, you'll end up down Finger Mountain, Georgia, at the southern terminus of the Benton McCod Trail. So that's a great spot. There's a campsite up there. Once again, make sure you get your permit. And also the parking pass is required there, but love that hike. It like you say, it's a thigh burner, but man, is it beautiful. It goes through this one little mossy area. The trees are covered in a thick moss. It almost looks mystical. It starts to get that Smokies look, I guess you could say, but yeah.
That brings up, you bring up a great point with sort of the camping thing. That is an option. These are, all of the peaks in the challenge are designed to be doable as a day hike, but in a lot of them you can do as part of an overnight backpacking trip as well, and that's totally legit. You can do that. You can do the challenge that way. Some of the challenges that I've done that very thing, where I've split up the hike, hiked up to a camp, and then got up early to summit for sunrise, or maybe even camped at the summit if that was allowed, and been able to see the sunset and the sunrise. And so it's a great way to experience those peaks.
Yeah, I definitely, my last night on the Benton McCod, I came northbound. I caught the sunset and the sunrise from the fire tower. Now, keep in mind the fire tower's in rough road, and you want to be extra cautious coming up there because the floor in it is a little sketchy. Just kind of, and just like Alum, Mount LeCoq, there's multiple ways that people can go up. You can go up, like this one, you can go up Baxter and go down, Mount Sterling. You can go down. There's a couple more trails that drops down to like Big Creek and all that. So you can make like a loop out of it. You want to climb up one side, hit your peak, and then go down another side and just make a big old loop. Definitely can do that too.
That's another great point, is that we don't dictate the route that you take for any of these mountains. The idea is that you do something that's challenging for you. So if you find that, climbing Mount Camerer, via the Low Gap Trail, which is 11.9 miles, isn't challenging enough, there might be a longer way for you to go.
Yeah, it's just like with Alum or Mount LeCoq, you can go up Alum, come down Trillium, or go down Rainbow Falls. You can do nice little waterfall. Even going down Trillium, actually walk behind the Grotto Falls, or you could hang go on over the mountain, go to the peak, and just go on that boulevard, come out at the 18 and come out at Newfound Gap. So many different ways. That's usually my favorite route, going out to Boulevard, because it's more of a ridge walk, and it's just that one is beautiful. But yeah, definitely the Smokies ones are some that I've spent many times doing, of course.
Yeah, and you can see I'm showing all trails right now, and you can see different trails and opportunities to make loops or to do a through hike, with a shuttle or something like that, and lots of different things that you could possibly do on these trails.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I mean, in the Smokies, it's a trail system. A lot of different ways to do all the trails in the park. There's 800 miles of trail. There's no wrong way.
Another high point that we have is the North Carolina high point, Mount Mitchell, 6,687 feet is the top of the summit elevation. This climbs almost 3,700 feet in about 6 miles each way, so about 12 miles round trip.
Yeah, that's a really good one as well. Love Mount Mitchell. Been there a couple of times, and there's so many good trails in that area too. It's really all the top points on this list. There's not a bad one on it. I mean, there's going to be some really nice spots to check out.
Yeah, one of the things I think we might do at some point is take a look at if people were traveling to do something like the Mount Mitchell Trail and they were spending a weekend in the area, what are some other things that they might, try to, fit in with that as well? Like some other must-see, maybe it's a waterfall hike or something like that. That's not necessarily a peak, but it'd be interesting to see, like what else is out there.
Yeah, I mean, Western North Carolina is a treasure trove of amazing hikes, amazing views. Whether you're doing a section of the Appalachian Trail, through Western North Carolina, or if you're, you want to go up and see Knox Pass, the granddaddy of the locations, a place that's been loved to death, that's seeing a recovery. Obviously, you have Black Dawson, you got Looking Glass, you have John's Rock, you have all these amazing places. And if you drive a little bit further north up towards Johnson City, then of course you've got, the Roan Mountain, Roan Highlands. My goodness, I mean, it's insane. If I would be very jealous of somebody that lived in Western North Carolina that just got so much right there at your fingertips. It's crazy.
So we go from the high point of North Carolina to the high point of South Carolina, Sassafras Mountain. So a really great opportunity for people. I don't know, like some people like to collect state high points. There's there's a whole list. Well, obviously there's 50 state high points. And some people are trying to, basically tick them all off, or I have a friend who's trying to do all the lowest state high points. And he has no aspiration to do Denali, I guess. And, but a lot of them are just hikes, that's like these ones here. So Sassafras Mountain in South Carolina, it's 2,100 feet of vertical over 4.2 miles each way for a total of 8.4 miles. You get a nice, easy, moderately graded trail, kind of looking at the elevation profile, just kind of slowly climbs up to that peak and slowly descends back down from it.
Another great location. I'm actually kind of jealous of this one. Whenever I did the Foothills Trail years ago, it was just a dirt patch on top of a mountain. And it had one little bitty bench and one little bitty like plaque. Now there's a platform, and kind of a little bit reminiscent of Mount Mitchell's platform, but yeah, that one's a really nice one. Like I said, Foothills Trail goes right over it. If a person wants to do the Foothills Trail through and through, do a through hike on it, it's a great option if you're ambitious and want to do that. It's about 76 miles long, roughly. Very difficult at times. If you ever wanted to know what a through hike would be like on the Appalachian Trail, do the Foothills Trail. It will give you an abbreviated version of what that's going to look like. And
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I did it. Whenever I did it, that was fresh off my 900 milers, so I had my legs and my lungs. And I did it in like 3.5 days, which was insane. It was like stupid insane. My body can't handle that kind of abuse today. But I think often that I wish I had taken my time with that one because it's such a beautiful area.
Good to know. Next up on the list, we have Brasstown Bald, which is another high point, the high point of Georgia. It climbs 2,200 feet or with a total distance of 6.2 miles. And the route that we've recommended is via Jack's Gap.
Yeah, that's a good route. That's a really cool high point. They got an observation tower there that's kind of a visitor center kind of deal too, and really very unique. And you can see so many local spots. I mean, you can track pretty much where the Appalachian Trail is in that one location as it goes through Georgia. So that's a pretty cool advantage.
Next up, we have Tray Mountain. I'm gonna try. I'll try. This is a roller coaster trail that I described earlier. So it's climbing 3,500 feet over the roughly 5.5 miles each way, and so you get to climb both ways, right? It's uphill both ways. It's one of those kind of trails.
Just like Grandma said. Yeah.
Walk 10 miles through the snow to school, uphill both ways, right?
Yeah, the nice thing about Tray Mountain is the AT goes up. So that's a cool, you're walking on a very old trail. A lot of people have walked that trail there.
A lot of history.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And on a clear day, on a low humidity day, which we don't get very many of those, you can see the skyline of Atlanta.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And then the last but not least is Big Frog Mountain, where you actually, the trail that we have is called the Hemp Top Trail to Big Frog Mountain. And you start in Georgia and you hike to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one. I have a very deep relationship with that trail, but hands are beautiful. The Bent McCoy Trail goes over that part of the mountain. Especially if they're coming from Georgia, you'll get to the Tennessee line at the very base. So again, one of the things you'll notice, the sign is missing many chunks out of it where bears have been chewing on the sign. So that's very comforting, and there's nice little campsites.
It's taken seriously, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you cross over into Tennessee there, you start, it's like a medium. It's not like gradual climb. It's like legit straight up. So you have to get out, walk into hubs, and start climbing up, and it just goes up and up and up and up. And then once you're up there, it's that typical look what we get here on the East Coast is you'll have trees that are roughly about 15 feet tall, typically as fast as they'll grow, maybe 20 feet. There's something about that elevation that they're at. It just stunts their growth or something, but usually very windy. But then it drops down into the Coy River Gorge and dumps you out at Thunder Rock Campground, the U.S. Forest Service campground, but also dumped out on some forest roads there. But a unique history about that area is for quite a few years, maybe 2 years or so, I taught swiftwater rescue on that section of the river, and so that I always enjoyed hiking through that spot because I had a history there. And whenever I was teaching swiftwater, I didn't have a clue that trail was there, and could care less. I was too busy doing water stuff. But now it's nice going back because it brings back those memories of teaching other law enforcement, rescue, EMT, and fire how to properly perform fast moving water rescue, floodwater rescue. But yeah, that Big Frog's a good one. It's tough if you're going from Georgia to Tennessee. Just there's a water spot. There's a small spring there at the base, right there at the sign, just off to the right hand side. It's almost like a double spring. Use the one on the right, not the one on the left. And pack a little extra water because you'll be drinking it like it's going out of style by the time you get to the top.
Yeah, and I know that you can't see my screen, Benny, but I'm showing on all trails they have an elevation profile, and that section, once you cross the state border into Tennessee, you can see the contour lines get kind of closer and closer, and you're kind of following that ridge straight up. And when I hover over the elevation profile, it tells me what the grade is, and it's kind of hovering between 20 and 30%, for a good section of time, and that's pretty darn steep.
Yeah, that was one that had me questioning my life decisions. It was like it's like why do I do this to myself? But yeah, it's one of those things you have to experience. It's a beautiful summit. Plenty of places to camp on top if you chose to do that. So you'll see spots where other people have camped and things like that.
So those are the 12 peaks. The thing that you're going to do if you decide to take the challenge is you're going to be able to pick the 6 that you want to do. If you want to do more than that, if you're that type A personality that wants to hit all 12, you can go for that. And we'll have a special badge for people who do that. But otherwise, you can pick any 6 of the 12. You can pick the ones that are closest to you, or the ones that are dog friendly, or the ones that are most interesting to you. Maybe you're going for the high points or something like that, and kind of mix and match to get your 6 peaks. As you log your hikes, Emma had mentioned that she did this one on Black Balsam Knob for at the beginning of the year, January 2nd, and your hike logs will show up here, so you can see as people begin to log their hikes and participate in the challenge, you're going to see photos and trip reports from everybody, from all of these peaks, and so it's a great way to get some trail data on the site. And let's see, I want to switch gears real quickly here, and I'm going to share a couple images from let's see, about responsible stewardship. So Benny, you sent me a couple things. Right now I've got your 2022 annual report up that kind of just talks about some of the things that responsible stewardship has done by the numbers, like 100% volunteer labor, which is awesome. 2,490.5 volunteer hours, doing over 35 cleanups. And I think the thing that's really cool is that you hauled away 42,000 pounds of trash.
Those were some crazy impressive numbers from last year. Especially being able to partner with 2 different national parks, 3 different national forests. We removed 13 illegal dump sites, along with, we had 3 cleanups in, other countries. We had 3 different countries represented in that, like 14 different states that participated in cleanups. A total of 35 cleanups for the year. We removed 157 tires. And then from our Race to Trace challenge that we do every October, where we partner with different outdoor companies, and you have a chance to win gear just for picking up litter. From that alone, during the month of October, everyone who participated picked up 7,636 pounds of litter. And that, for me, that's the cool part. That's amazing to see people take that action, and we are already set to break that this year. We already had 5,000 pounds for the month. Probably getting ready to pull another 2,000 to 3,000 this coming weekend from another illegal dump site. And we have a ton of cleanups scheduled already in a year, some of them illegal dump sites. Some amazing partnerships, just like our partnership with you guys. We're partnering with, Jester Second Hiking, her podcast, and them. We just launched a partnership with the Outdoor Evolution in the Give It Fit campaign. And we're doing a partnership with the Hollander Vinter of a Lifetime folks from Croatia. So we've already had, some representation in Taiwan, get ready to do some stuff in the Philippines and across Europe. And I hope to be going back to Scotland in May, so we'll be doing a cleanup over there while we're good. And it's just that opportunity to make a positive impact. That choice of, when I enter the outdoors, I can leave a negative impact. I can leave my trash on the ground, or I can do, I can leave no trace and, pack out what I pack in, or I can leave a positive impact, pack out what everybody else left, including what I packed in, and try to make a positive impact and remove the negative impact anyone else made. And that makes it better for the next person. So we like to say, we're just out there trying to make our outdoor spaces a better place to recreate. And that's just amazing things that are going on. And we're getting ready to start an ambassador program. So we'll have that application up on our website February 1st, and people can start applying. And basically, we're going to seek you up to do some, group cleanups in your local area and see what kind of positive impact you can make. And that's going to be cool, man. The impact that we think that we're going to make, we feel like we'll probably do 80,000 pounds next year. We already are set to move probably 500 tires by the end of March, if not more than that. And we expect those tire numbers will probably be around 1,000 tires. And we're trying to work with different companies to be able to take those so it doesn't cost us, because we are an all-volunteer organization. Even me as the founder and president, I don't get paid a penny. And we want to keep it that way as long as we can keep it that way, because we love the idea of your donation, 100% your donation, turning around and taking care of our outdoor spaces and not taking care of salaries and stuff like that. We feel like we want to make the impact, and that's the best way we can see to do.
And I'm hoping that we can create some opportunities for our Six-Pack of Peaks challengers in the different regions around the country to participate as well. So we'll end up, working together to put together some cleanups in each of the 17 areas where we have challenges.
Yeah, if somebody wants to, I love that idea. If somebody wants to, host a cleanup as they want to, they want to go do one of the peaks, we'll help them organize a cleanup and get them supplies they need.
Mm-hmm.
I love empowering people that are taking care of their local spaces. I mean, because if everybody's doing that, then in general, all of our local spaces and public lands are in much better shape.
So Benny, I've got a slide up on the screen that shows your website address. It's responsiblestewardship.org. And there's also a QR code. So if you want to try to scan that with, if somebody wants to try to scan that with their phone, that'll take them there as well. But we'll make sure that on the recording that we do, we have some notes on there with links that go to your website where people can find out more information about all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, folks can go on there and see, maybe there's a cleanup that's going to be close to them. I know we're getting ready to do a cleanup over in Phoenix, Arizona, so we're excited about that one and do some stuff all over. But it's also an opportunity. When they visit the website, it's an opportunity to donate if they'd like to do that. Just know that your donation is 100% tax deductible, and that your donation is being used wisely to make a positive impact in our outdoor space in general. But it also allows you the opportunity, hey, if you want to apply to be an ambassador and make a powerful positive impact in your area, that's a great opportunity to do it as well. And you can learn about our ethics that we have and that we live by.
That's awesome. All right. Well, if there are, I don't see any more questions in the chat, but I did see some comments about the dog-friendly stuff. And Emma, I don't know how you did this so quickly, but she's put together a list of the peaks that are dog-friendly and the not dog-friendly. And we're going to update the website to include this information at your fingertips so that it'll be a little bit easier for you. She's listed, we'll double check all these before they go on the website. Dog friendly include Mount Rogers, Mount Mitchell, Sassafras Mountain, Black Balsam Knob, Tray Mountain, Brass Down Bald, Smith Mountain, and Big Frog Mountain. And then the ones that are not dog friendly are Mount Camerer, Mount Sterling, High Rock Loop, and Mount LeConte. And we'll double check all those and make sure that it's updated on the website. Thanks you guys for joining. This has been great. I really enjoyed, talking a little bit about the Appalachian Challenge. And Benny, you've got some great insights that I think we need to try to capture that somehow. And obviously one of the ways is the recording that we've got for this. So this recording or this webinar is recorded. We're going to be posting it in a blog post on Social Hiker. It'll probably go live tomorrow, so we'll make sure that the link gets posted on, shared on Instagram and Facebook, and of course on our website. So you can find out more about that there. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I look forward to hearing more about your adventures in the year ahead on the Six-Pack of Peaks. Have a great evening for everybody. Thanks again, Benny.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much.